Have you ever walked into a room and felt the air suddenly thicken, as if the atmosphere itself was pressing against your chest? Or perhaps you have held an object, a seemingly innocent antique, or a gift from a distant relative, and felt a cold shiver run down your spine, an instinctive recoil that your logical mind tried to dismiss. We live in a world that teaches us that matter is dead, that a chair is just wood, a ring is just metal, and a mirror is just glass. But your intuition knows better. Deep down, in the primitive sensing part of your soul, you know that objects have memory. You know that things are not just things, they are sponges, they are vessels, and sometimes they are traps. Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychiatrist who bridged the gap between scientific psychology and deep spirituality, understood that the boundary between the internal world of the mind and the external world of matter is not as solid as we think. He spoke of unus mundus, one world, where the psyche and matter are two sides of the same coin. If we accept this, we must accept a terrifying but empowering truth. Objects can hold energy. They can carry the shadow of their previous owners, and when you accept a gift, you are not just accepting a physical item, you are potentially inviting a psychic parasite into your sanctuary. Today, we are going to explore 7 specific gifts, 7 cursed objects that, according to the principles of deep psychology and spiritual energy, you should never accept without extreme caution. These are not just superstitions, they are archetypal containers of human emotion. If you value your peace of mind and your spiritual progress, click the like button right now. It helps this knowledge reach others who need to protect their energy. Now, take a deep breath, and let us open the door to the unconscious. 1. The trap of reflection. Antique mirrors. The first object on our list is perhaps the most iconic and the most dangerous. Antique mirrors. Why are we so fascinated, yet so unsettled, by old mirrors? A brand new mirror is a tabula rasa, blank slate, but an antique mirror, that is a recording device. Think about what a mirror does. It does not just reflect light, it reflects the self. For decades, perhaps centuries, a mirror hangs in a hallway or a bedroom. It witnesses everything. It sees the joy. Yes, but it also sees the midnight tears. It sees the moments of hatred when someone looks at their own reflection with disdain. It witnesses arguments, illness, and decay. From a Jungian perspective, the mirror is the ultimate symbol of the shadow. It is where we confront what we are, but also what we refuse to be. An antique mirror has eaten the images of hundreds of people who are now gone. When you bring an old mirror into your home, especially one whose history you do not know, you are bringing in a frozen lake of psychic energy. Have you ever looked into an old mirror and felt that the reflection was slightly off, as if the depth of the glass went back further than the wall behind it? Jung suggested that we project our unconscious contents onto objects. A mirror that has belonged to a house of tragedy carries a heavy projection. It has been imprinted with the intense emotional energy or libido, in the Jungian sense, of its past owners. By hanging it in your safe space, you may find yourself feeling emotions that are not yours. A sudden wave of vanity, or conversely, a crushing sense of dysmorphia or sadness. You are tuning into the frequency of the object. If you must accept an antique mirror, it requires a profound cleansing, both physical and spiritual. But the wisest advice: leave the reflections of the past where they belong, in the past. Do not let dead eyes watch you sleep. 2. The vessel of intent. Handmade dolls or human figures. The second gift is one that triggers a very primal alarm system in the human brain. Handmade dolls or figurines. There is a reason why dolls are the subject of so many horror stories and folklore legends. It touches on the psychological concept of the uncanny valley. That feeling of revulsion when something looks human but isn't quite alive, but spiritually it goes deeper. When an artisan or a hobbyist makes a doll by hand, they are engaging in an act of creation that mimics the divine. They are forming a being. In this process, immense amounts of mental energy and focus are poured into the object. The doll becomes a container for the maker's state of mind. Imagine a doll made by someone in a state of deep loneliness, or obsession, or even malice. Unlike a factory-made plastic toy, a handmade figure has a soul given to it by its creator. In many esoteric traditions, dolls are used specifically as vessels for spirits or energies. Even without ritual intent, the psychological intensity of the creation process lingers. Jung spoke of animism, the worldview where objects possess a distinct spiritual essence. A handmade doll is the closest inanimate object to a living being. If you receive such a gift from someone whose energy is chaotic, toxic, or envious, that doll becomes a beacon of that energy in your home. It sits on your shelf, watching. Have you ever noticed how a room feels different when a realistic doll is placed in the corner? It commands attention. It draws the eye. This is because it occupies psychic space. If you accept a doll from an unknown source or a person with a heavy shadow, you are inviting a silent roommate, one that does not eat or sleep, but feeds on the emotional atmosphere of the room. If you feel a sense of repulsion when handed a figure like this, listen to that instinct. It is your unconscious mind recognizing a foreign energy signature. Do not accept it out of politeness. Your home is your temple. 3. The weight of ancestral pain. Inherited jewelry with a history of suffering. This brings us to the third gift, one that is often wrapped in the guise of honor and legacy, but can be a heavy chain around your neck. inherited jewelry. Now, we must be nuanced here. Not all heirlooms are cursed. A grandmother's ring given with pure love is a talisman of protection. But what of the ring that was worn during a bitter divorce? What of the necklace worn by a woman who died in despair? Or the gemstone that was fought over by greedy siblings in a will dispute? Metals and crystals are the bones of the earth. They are conductive. In physics, we know metals conduct electricity and heat. In metaphysics, they conduct and store emotional vibration. A diamond, with its rigid crystalline structure, is like a hard drive. It locks information in. If you inherit a piece of jewelry known to be associated with suffering, betrayal, or tragedy, you are literally wearing that trauma on your body. You are placing it over your pulse points, over your heart chakra, or on your fingers, connecting it to your meridian. Think about the phrase we use when we inherit something. It has sentimental value. In Jungian psychology, value is energy, it is psychic weight. When you wear that ring or that necklace, you are unconsciously identifying with the ancestor who wore it before you. If that ancestor lived a life of unfulfilled potential, of victimization, or of bitterness, you may find yourself inexplicably repeating their patterns. This is what family constellations therapy refers to as entanglement. You are not just wearing gold, you are wearing a story. And unless you have the spiritual strength to rewrite that story, the object will continue to broadcast the old narrative into your life. 4. The residue of strangers, secondhand objects without cleansing. This leads us directly to the fourth category, one that is incredibly common in our modern world of vintage shopping and thrift stores. Secondhand objects without energetic cleansing. We love the idea of pre-loved items. It feels sustainable. It feels unique. But let us pause and analyze that term, pre-loved. What if the object was not loved? What if it was pre-ignored or pre-stressed? Consider a used armchair you buy online. You see a piece of furniture, but a psychologist sees a repository of hours who sat there. What were they thinking? Perhaps someone sat in that chair every night for 5 years, worrying about debt, crying over a broken marriage, or stewing in anger. Matter absorbs vibration. Wood and fabric are organic materials. They hold the scent of the human experience, not just physically, but energetically. Jung emphasized that the unconscious mind is far more perceptive than the conscious mind. When you bring a bed, a couch, or even a jacket into your home that has been saturated with the heavy emotions of a stranger, your unconscious mind picks up on it. You might start having trouble sleeping. You might feel an inexplicable irritability when you are in that room. You are reacting to the psychic residue lingering in the object. It is like wearing someone else's shoes. At first it just feels uncomfortable physically, but over time, you start to walk like them. You start to tread their path. If you do not cleanse these objects through sage, sound, sunlight, or prayer, you are populating your home with the ghosts of strangers' emotions. You are cluttering your personal energy field with static noise that isn't yours. Ask yourself, is the bargain worth the spiritual noise? 5. The Trojan horse, gifts of forced reconciliation. The fifth gift is the most deceptive of all because it comes disguised as love, but its core is manipulation. These are gifts of forced reconciliation. We have all been there. You have a conflict with someone, a partner, a toxic parent, a friend who betrayed you. The trust is broken, the relationship is fractured, and suddenly, a gift arrives. It is expensive, it is flashy, it is exactly what you wanted. But it arrives before the apology. It arrives instead of the change in behavior. In the landscape of deep psychology, this object is a Trojan horse. On the outside, it is a gesture of generosity. But inside, it is filled with soldiers waiting to attack your boundaries. Jung spoke extensively about the persona, the mask we wear to face the world. This gift is the ultimate persona. It hides the shadow of the relationship, the unresolved abuse, the lack of respect, the control. If you accept this gift, you are accepting a silent contract. The contract says, I give you this object, and in exchange, you lose the right to be angry. You lose the right to demand change. Every time you look at that watch, that bag, or that gadget, you do not feel joy. Be honest with yourself. What do you feel? You feel a subtle twist in your gut. You feel guilt, you feel debt. The object becomes a totem of your submission. It anchors you to a dynamic that drains your soul. It is a physical manifestation of gaslighting. It tries to convince you that everything is fine, when your intuition screams that it is not. To accept such a gift is to betray your own soul. It blocks your process of individuation because it keeps you tethered to a false reality. Rejecting it is one of the most powerful acts of self-assertion you can perform. It sends a message to your unconscious and to the other person. My peace cannot be bought. 6 Portals of chaos, works of art created from pain. Now, let us move to a more subtle aesthetic, yet profoundly impactful category. Works of art created from pain. Art is powerful. Jung himself used art, painting, sculpting as a way to interact with the unconscious. His famous Red Book is a testament to this. Art is a bridge between the inner world and the outer world. When an artist paints, they are externalizing their internal state. They are taking their emotions, their demons, their visions, and locking them into a physical form through color, shape, and composition. So, What happens when you hang a painting created in a state of deep depression, chaotic rage, or psychotic break on your living room wall? You are opening a window into that state of mind. You are creating a portal. We often romanticize the tortured artist, but energy is contagious. If an artist poured their suicidal ideation into a canvas, that canvas vibrates with that frequency. Visual inputs bypass our logical filters and go straight to the reptilian brain and the limbic system. If you stare at a chaotic, dark, disturbing image every day while you drink your coffee, you are microdosing that chaos into your system. This isn't to say all art must be happy flowers and sunshine. Shadow work is important, but your home is your sanctuary. It is where you regenerate. Do you really want a permanent scream hanging over your sofa? I have seen homes where the owners complain of constant anxiety, only to find their walls covered in artwork that depicts fragmentation, violence, or isolation. They call it edgy or sophisticated, but their unconscious mind reads it as danger. The environment we curate shapes our inner landscape. If you surround yourself with images of pain, do not be surprised if your own resilience begins to erode. Be mindful of what you hang on your walls. You are the curator of your own reality. 7. The mystery box. Locked chests or trunks with unknown contents. Finally, the seventh gift, and perhaps the most mystically potent, is boxes, chests, or trunks whose content you do not know. This might sound like something out of a fairy tale, but it happens. You inherit a locked trunk from an attic. You buy a sealed box at an estate sale. A friend asks you to hold onto this box for them but never tells you what is inside. Psychologically, a closed container represents the unconscious itself. It is the unknown. Jung famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." When you accept a locked box into your home, you are physically bringing in a mystery. But unlike a mystery novel, this one interacts with your energy field. What is inside? Old love letters full of heartbreak, occult tools used for rituals you don't understand, evidence of a crime, or simply the stagnant, rotting energy of neglect. By accepting the container, you accept the content. You give permission for that unknown energy to reside with you. The human mind abhors a vacuum. When we don't know what is inside something, we project our fears and fantasies onto it. This creates a psychic leak. Part of your mental energy is always unconsciously guarding that box, wondering, worrying. It is a symbol of secrets. Secrets are heavy, they fester. If you are given a locked chest, open it. If you cannot open it, or if you are forbidden to open it, do not keep it. To live with a closed box is to live with a closed door in your own psyche. It invites the shadow to hide in the corner of your room. Illuminating the darkness is the only way to dispel it. Reflecting on the burden of things, we have walked through 7 items. 7 archetypes of burden. Mirrors, dolls, jewelry, uncleansed objects, manipulative gifts, painful art, and secret boxes. Take a moment now. Look around the room you are in. Let your eyes rest on the objects around you. Do you feel lighter when you look at them, or do you feel a subtle drag? Objects are not passive, they are active participants in your life. They are the stage props of your personal play. If the props are cursed, the play turns into a tragedy. But knowing this is only the first step. The real work, the alchemical work of transformation, lies in what you do next. How do you break the link? How do you cleanse the energy? And most importantly, how do you cultivate the courage to say no to a gift that threatens your soul? In the final part of this video, I am going to give you a practical, step-by-step guide on how to neutralize these energies. We will talk about the power of ritual, the psychology of decluttering, and how to reclaim your space as a sacred temple of the self. You do not want to miss this, because knowledge without action is just philosophy, but knowledge with action is magic. The alchemical home. Transforming your space. We have journeyed through the shadow of the material world. We have identified the 7 cursed gifts, the antique mirrors holding frozen time, the dolls with artificial souls, the jewelry heavy with ancestral trauma, the uncleansed second-hand items, the manipulative gifts of false reconciliation, the art born of chaos, and the locked boxes of secrets. Now, you might be feeling a sense of urgency. You might be mentally cataloging the items in your home, feeling the weight of them. This is good. This is the awakening of consciousness. In Jungian alchemy, this stage is known as the nigredo, the blackening, the decomposition of the old state. It is uncomfortable, but it is necessary for the gold to emerge. Your home is not just a storage unit for your body. It is an externalization of your psyche. It is the temenos, the sacred circle where your transformation takes place. If your temenos is polluted with objects that carry the vibration of the shadow, your work of individuation becomes infinitely harder. You are trying to swim upstream while wearing lead boots. So, how do we reclaim our sanctuary? How do we break the curses, psychological or energetic, that these objects carry? We must move from passive acceptance to active curation. Here is your protocol for spiritual hygiene and energetic defense. Step 1. The intuitive audit, sensing the field. The first step requires you to shut down your logical mind. Logic will tell you, it's just a chair, or but it was expensive. Logic is the trap here. You need to engage your intuition and your sensation functions. Walk through your home when you are alone. Stand in the center of each room. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Then, open your eyes and look at the objects around you. Don't look at them as things, look at them as sources of radiation. Which object draws your eye immediately? Does it make your chest expand, or does it make your stomach tighten? Does it feel warm, or does it feel cold and dead? If you encounter one of the cursed gifts we discussed, say, that painting from a depressed artist or that ring from a bitter divorce top, acknowledge the feeling. Do not judge it, just admit, this object drains me. This admission is the first cut of the psychological cord. You have withdrawn your consent for it to occupy your space. Step 2. The art of refusal. Boundaries as protection. Prevention is better than cure. The most powerful way to deal with a cursed gift is to never let it cross your threshold. But how do we refuse a gift without causing a family war? We often accept these items out of the persona of the good person. We want to be polite, we want to be liked. But remember, politeness at the expense of your soul is self-sabotage. If someone offers you an object that feels wrong, you must decline. You do not need to explain the metaphysics of it. You do not need to say, this has bad vibes. You can ground it in the practical. Say, I am in a phase of deep clearing right now. I am keeping my space very empty to clear my mind. I cannot accept anything new at the moment. Or, I appreciate the gesture deeply, but I wouldn't be able to give this object the honor it deserves. You should go to someone who can truly display it. This is a psychological boundary. By saying no, you are telling the universe and your own unconscious that you value your own energy more than you value social approval. That is a massive act of self-love. Step 3. The cleansing ritual. Resetting the psyche. What if you cannot get rid of the object? Perhaps it is a family heirloom you are obligated to keep, or an antique you truly love despite its heavy history. You must strip it of its past. You must reclaim it. In psychology, a ritual is an action performed with symbolic intent that speaks directly to the unconscious mind. The unconscious speaks in symbols, not words. Therefore, you must act to change the energy. 1. Physical purification. Clean the object thoroughly. Use water, polish, oil. As you clean it, imagine you are scrubbing away the invisible layers of the past. Treat the object with respect. Matter responds to care. 2. Elemental reset. Use the elements. Salt earth. Place the object, if the material allows, in a bowl of sea salt for 24 hours. Salt is crystalline. It absorbs static energy. Smoke air. Pass the object through the smoke of sage, Palo Santo or frankincense. Smoke represents the rising of prayer and the clearing of the ether. Sunlight, fire. Leave the object in direct sunlight. The sun is the ultimate archetype of masculine, dispelling energy. It burns away the mold of the shadow. 3. Intentional reprogramming. This is the most crucial step. Once the object is physically and elementally clean, you must fill the vacuum. Hold the object in your hands. Close your eyes. Visualize a bright white light pouring from your heart into the object. Say aloud, remember, the voice is vibration. I cleanse you of all past histories, all past owners, and all past pain. You are now here, in the present moment. You belong to me. I fill you with peace and purpose. By doing this, you are claiming ownership. You are overriding the old code with a new program. Step 4. The release, letting go finally. For those objects that are truly cursed, the ones that bring bad luck, nightmares or heaviness, no matter how much you clean them, there is only one solution: release. You must get rid of them, do not sell them. Do not burden someone else with the curse. If an object is toxic, return it to the earth. Burn it safely, bury it, or dismantle it. I know this sounds radical. We are taught to hoard. We are taught that material value is supreme. But what is the cost of your peace? If a $500 antique mirror is costing you your sleep and your serenity, it is not an asset, it is a liability. Letting go of these objects creates a vacuum, and the laws of physics and spirituality agree. Nature abhors a vacuum. When you create space by removing the heavy, the toxic, and the dead, you create an opening for the new to enter. You invite synchronicity. You invite fresh energy. You invite the future. Conclusion. You are the gatekeeper. The path of the spiritual warrior, the path of the Jungian hero, is not just about meditating on a mountaintop. It is about how you live your daily life. It is about the environment you build for yourself. Every object in your home is a thread in the tapestry of your life. If the threads are rotten, the tapestry will tear. If the threads are strong, bright, and chosen with love, the tapestry will be a masterpiece. You have the power to choose. You have the authority to say no. You have the magic to cleanse. Do not be a passive victim of the material world. Be the alchemist. Transmute your environment, and you will see your inner world transform in response. The shadows will recede, and your true self will have the room it needs to breathe, to grow, and to shine. Thank you for walking this path with me today. If this video resonated with you, if you felt that spark of recognition, subscribe to the channel. We are building a community of conscious souls who are ready to look deep into the mirror of truth. Comment below, which of these 7 objects have you encountered? Have you ever felt a bad vibe from a gift? Share your story. Your experience is valid, and sharing it helps break the stigma. Like the video to support this energy. Share it with someone who needs to protect their peace. And remember, your home is your temple. Keep it sacred. I will see you in the next video.